going out that door is remarkably stupid. You don't go on contact left. You go out the other side. My name is Eric Terashima. I'm a retired colonel from the United States Marines. I spent 30 years of service and had 12 deployments, including 8 combat tours, and 3 of those were in Afghanistan. Today, we are going to look at Afghanistan war battles in movies and judge how real they are. Landing helicopters in Afghanistan was challenging. Those look to me like CH-47 Chinooks that was frequently used by the Army, heavy lift helicopter, large troop transporter. Some of that looks enhanced just for the movie to make it look more dramatic. An RPG bringing down a helicopter is absolutely realistic, but it has to be a very, very lucky shot. Like you hit a vital system, particularly in a very dramatic crash like that. I would give this clip an 8. The stress and the duress that I felt coming through the actors, as well as the scenario that was depicted. So yeah, they did a pretty good job. Being on horses would be beneficial for fighting in Afghanistan because of the mountainous terrain. You have to go through a lot of elevation changes, hiking up, hiking down. And so horses are going to help you gain more distance more quickly as opposed to wearing yourself out on foot. Later, when I started to go through some advisor training, this is up in the mountains, we would have classes on how to pack mules, for example, and how to butcher animals and cook them out over an open fire. So yeah, we worked on some of those skills.
Hey, where the hell did those come from? How did Tatum not know about a supply line?
Lack of intelligence is what he's concerned about. Like, we should know this. These are capital pieces of equipment. Our networks are so strong in the spy world that they should have had an idea of what was up ahead. And tanks are kind of a big deal. They're loud, they travel long distances, and everyone should know where all of them are. So the advantages are mobile armor, so the occupants are protected, and then a big gun. That's a big advantage. Big disadvantage is that they are road-bound, and they can only go on certain roads, which makes them vulnerable to mines like IEDs. They had tanks, they were Soviet-era tanks that were available and usable by them. By the time I showed up, the coalition forces were so strong, there's no way the enemy could possibly use tanks against us. People standing up in the middle of a firefight. It's like, you actually don't do that. You want to get down on the ground, right? Because you don't want to get hit. I would give it a 6 for realism. This particular clip on the horses is cool and dramatic, and yeah, and they're charging downhill. But some of the individual tactics kind of made me laugh a little bit.
There's no logical reason for Hadi to lead us down this route unless he's leading us into a trap.
You're out of your bounds, Ahmed. You're here to translate.
Actually, I'm here to interpret.
That's a really great response. Interpreting is so much more than translation. Translation, you're just trying to get the verbatim speech and convey that. Interpreters are much more than that. They become cultural advisors to the people that they're servicing with. And when you start working closely with your interpreters, what happens is you need to form trust with each other. If you don't build that trust, then you may be lacking in the ability to get a full interpretation of what's happening. He's saying, I'm interpreting a cultural thing right here that I'm seeing. I'm seeing how Hadid is acting. He's acting weird. I'm sniffing this guy out. He's being a rat. And by the way, even though your sensors and your patrols and stuff don't see it, this is a bad road to go down. You do not want to do this.
He's a traitor.
In Afghanistan, and actually in all cases, we do have to vet sources of intelligence. What you do is you try to confirm or deny information that they give you as things pass along in time. And so over time, you build up, okay, how often is he lying to us? Because you expect that. And then how and why? That's what a case manager is going to try to do. That's how the vetting process goes. I kind of call BS on that one. If he's going to draw a weapon, the one he's going to do is the rifle that's around his shoulder. And the reason why you do that is because pistols are wildly inaccurate. You've only got this much of a barrel. A lot of pistol fights go off. You see like 20 rounds fired by each side, all misses at this kind of a range. In various degrees, you always have to kind of diffuse tension of some sort. Is he doing a good job? No. If you're trying to de-escalate a situation, drawing your pistol out is not a de-escalation.
He says they have his family.
The risk was pretty high, really high. And particularly my last deployment was 2019 through 2020. I'm in Lashkar Gah, and most of our interpreters were locals from Lashkar Gah. They would kind of sneak on and off the base. Fortunately, we were co-located with an Afghan base, so that's a very simple lie. I'm going to go work on the Afghan base, come in and out, not knowing they're actually working for the coalition forces. So we've got these locals who are extremely at risk. Like if their pictures get out, their names get out, then their families get known and their families do get threatened. Obviously, I'm still concerned about the ones who are left behind. I still send money on a regular basis to multiple families out there. They need support, and I can't let my friends starve. I'd give it a 4, mainly because this scenario is common enough. What I don't like are the tactics. The person who's trying to de-escalate the situation and instead does an escalatory move, which doesn't make any sense at all. So that's why I gave it a 4.
Just click it. Don't change any settings. Just click it.
Vehicle ambushes were very common in Afghanistan because you're confined to roads that can handle that kind of load. And because of this kind of terrain, it's up in the mountains, everything is canalized. You must go through that road. That makes it a lot easier to ambush vehicles.
Contact left! What do we got?
Contact left means that if I'm here in the driver's seat, that means I'm receiving fire from my left-hand side. Yelling contact left and rolling out that door is remarkably stupid. You don't go on contact left. You go out the other side. Stark should have stayed in the vehicle because what usually will happen is as you're forming defenses during an ambush, the vehicle actually becomes a safe spot. That's where your food is, that's where your water is, that's where your pack is, you know, your supplies and other things. So yeah, the vehicle's absolutely central. That does happen sometimes where you'll have a nearby exploding piece of ordnance and next to nothing happens to you, as opposed to you could just get like utterly destroyed depending on where you show up in the frag pattern is how that works, and this is just dumb luck. I think I'd give this one an 8. There is going to be a deduction for contact left, getting out left, although people do stupid things when they're in duress. Stark should not have left the vehicle either.
Back up! Back up! What's he saying?
You give them props for not having doors on the Humvees. That's a good detail. It's like that's clearly early on where you were doing stuff like that. It would be common to be in bombed-out buildings like that. Just standing out in the open, firing a bunch of rounds, not necessarily the smartest thing to do. You're looking for cover, you're looking for angles, like don't stand right next to each other.
Come on, I got you. Get your hands up!
Kyrie, do you read? Talk to me, Kyrie.
You lucky son hit your plate. Oh, Jesus.
When that metal hits your plate, that's like someone punching you in the chest, basically, right? So all that force, velocity, and bullet are hitting you, and so you just feel this giant thump. The tactics of the shooting and moving don't make sense to me. I think that could have been depicted a little bit better, so I'm going to give it a 6. The film portrays the Battle of Kamdesh in 2009. That's an absolutely horrible defensive position to be laid down in the middle of a valley with 2 steep cliffs up above you with lots of terrain that you can hide in. One of the first things you would do when you occupy a position like this, at least I would do, is write what's called a fire plan sketch. You put down all the places in the terrain that's surrounding you, like a ledge that an enemy can just peek over. What you would be able to do with this sketch is from any position in your defensive spot, you would know, okay, that ridge right there is 200 yards away from me. And that makes a difference of where you're going to aim, or how you're going to aim, and with what weapon system.
Thompson's down! Thompson's down!
Would it be realistic to have a machine gun that's ready to go under a tarp? Absolutely, it would be. You'd prefer to have somebody on the machine gun at all times. At least I would. I would be doing at least 1 test fire a day, just to make sure all my stuff was tight and ready. And I would have rounds at the ready. Any bit of armor in the field helps, especially because this is a gunfight of, yes, you want your personal protective equipment on. Ceramic plate that's on your chest and on your back is designed to stop a 7.62 round at close range. And that kind of thing happened all the time. You're running operations 24 hours a day. You're gonna have to have day sleepers or people who are doing other things. People may be working out. So you go to the bathroom, you take a shower. You're doing all these things and you're 24 hours at risk. So yeah, when something happens, it's normal to see folks in maybe their unlaced boots with the flak and helmet on. That's all they got, and their weapon.
Due to weather, Apaches are down. It'll be 2 more hours.
That happens all the time. The terrain is so drastic within Afghanistan. Like here in this depiction, looks like it's kind of sunny, maybe a little bit overcast, but the weather doesn't look all that bad. Well, one mountain range away, it could be just like insane weather. It could be a crazy thunderstorm, windstorm, sandstorm, high winds. An Apache helicopter is an assault aircraft. It carries a Gatling gun and it carries rockets. It's highly maneuverable. It can get in and out of the terrain, and sometimes they already know before they're even coming in what their targets may be looking like because they may have gotten a pre-brief. It's an extra machine gun and rocket firepower that's highly accurate. I'll give it a 9. It's really good. It's really well done.
You want to take a look at this?
What do you see? Let me see. Nice.
Firewatch is a 24-hour manned position, and it's Firewatch because in the Marines, we harken it back to you had to have a fire, and you need to keep the embers going. If you didn't, you were screwed. He called it an OP, so it's an observation post. That's why he's on the binoculars. Binoculars are a whole lot easier to hold up than having a rifle at the ready, and they also have a wider field of view. So if you want to be able to scan large parts of the horizon, binoculars are definitely the way they would be doing that.
You got him!
Typically, you want high-up positions. High-up positions give you better fields of view. They're longer. You can see more. And in some cases, like in this particular one, you've got a lot of standoff between you and the other folks.
No.
Barry Berman!
Barry.
Barry Berman!
Barry.
This is kind of a PTSD trigger moment that this guy's going through. It's a really intense emotional feeling, like you're killing a human being, and oh, by the way, no, you killed 3, and then the guys who are with you are celebrating, like giddy celebrating, which is, for your normal person, being that up close and personal to death is bizarre. One of the issues for me with PTSD is I get overly stimulated. You do kind of have sometimes these out-of-body experiences where you lose track of, like, okay, this is not really good for everyday people to hear or be a part of. It's a selective crowd. I'd give it a 10. I think it was a good depiction of PTSD, absolutely. So we call this victim initiated. Was there a way to detect IEDs in the field before them going off? Yes, absolutely. So frequently what we would do is a patrol like that would be led by somebody sweeping the ground. In this case, for whatever reason, they clearly did not do that.
Jeg har en LCD her. Det er en RC.
Du har den der, du kan se, der er noget antenne, der stikker op.
So RC is radio controlled, kind of like a mine ambush, because it was a well-worn trail and it was a remote controlled device of some sort. Something got a signal, so it was an active piece. That means down on that IED, there needs to be a power source, there needs to be a battery. That way you got something to close the circuit to detonate the device, and something that would receive that remote detonation piece. How far away does that person need to be? Well, if it's like a garage door opener, they got to be kind of close, right, to get that kind of a distance. If it's more sophisticated, maybe they could be further away. That would be just a basic, like a paintbrush, same thing that like archaeologists will use. You might do that if you're concerned about there being a trigger. So if you're concerned about that, then yes, you want to be very careful around those initiators. On the other hand, there's been times in war where I've seen people see detonation cord. Well, if you're walking around an area like that and you see a red wire-looking thing that has no business being there, that's detonation cord. And that usually means that somebody has set up a bomb near you. And so I've seen guys in the field grab that detonation cord and just yank on it, right, and reel in these bombs.
Så begynder han at komme. Yes, hostile intent.
What you're talking about is rules of engagement, right? When you can and cannot shoot, why you should or should not shoot. And establishing hostile intent is one of those things. How do you determine that? In this case, to make it really easy on the viewership, it was, this guy's putting a bomb in the middle of the road that's clearly designed for us. I'm gonna give this a 9. That's 100% realistic and happened. And it was funny because she's like, hot, 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 hot. Because, yeah, think about it. You just had an explosion happen in this little chunk of metal. It's hot when it comes down. So this is people in a firefight who are just standing up. Like, what are you doing? You don't do that in the firefight. You get down because you don't want to get shot at, right? You don't want to get hit by a bullet. So I'm laughing at that. Just the tactics don't make any sense. If someone's shooting at you, you're not going to just stand there and be like, hey, yeah, I like getting shot at. This is cool. A javelin is like an anti-tank weapon. Comes in 2 different modes. There's a direct fire mode, and then there's an over-the-top mode, which I think this depicted the over-the-top mode. One of the funny things is that it requires a certain standoff. It's around 150 to 200 meters. Well, that truck was not 150 to 200 meters away. So there's a little bit of that cinematography that you just got to do for Hollywood stuff, I get. So no points off on that one. For realism, I'll give it a 3. Most of the detraction is just from standing up while shooting. You would never do that. My favorite scene that I watched today was from the Outpost. It felt very real to me. The duress of the folks being put into a horrible situation, doing the best they can with it, pretty believable. So I liked it from that standpoint. And if you like this video, why not click on the next one?